Hey, nice people, how you doing? So today we're going to explain absolutely how the alchemists worked and what is going on with the alchemy of Giza. I really hope you enjoy this presentation. I've put together a couple of slides which you're going to really enjoy. Trust me on this one, you're really going to enjoy it because I'm going to show you how alchemy works because it is a mystery to many people. I do consider myself an alchemist because I'm making an alchemy lab and I'm really studying how it worked and their worldview. I'm trying to educate myself and put myself into the frame of mind of an ancient priest in order to see how things like Giza work, and that led to this the previous video. Giza's greatest secret, the Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, and Feathered Serpent. Please share that. That discovery is a good one. So what we saw was essentially that we have Khufu as the Pyramid of the Sun, Khafre as the Death, or Pyramid of the Moon, and Menkaure is the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent. And of course, when you get Sun, Moon, and Serpent, three philosophical principles, you get to alchemy. And alchemy seems to be a direct descendant of the pyramid religion, which was worldwide. So there's the sun and the moon. And when the alchemists combine the sun and the moon, you get substances, and we're going to see exactly how that works. How alchemists separated and recombined substances, and what's going on at Giza. So I've put together this diagram, and let's have a good look at this. This is from a book called The Viridium Chemicum, Frankfurt, 1624. And it seems all these old alchemy books, these amazing alchemy pictures, these weren't things that artists just invented. They were copying a very ancient tradition, which is basically a Stone Age tradition, which was around when the pyramids were wet cement. And this has come down in the West as alchemy. Alchemy is not something invented in the Middle Ages. It goes all the way back. And we can start to see this. We have the three pyramids as three sides of a triangle. So what we have is, firstly, and this is the three philosophical principles of elements. So let's have a read first to get some background. All substances are made from three philosophical components in alchemy. So you start with anima. And you see there's sun, there's fire, there's a sun god, there's a salamander breathing smoke. And anima in Latin is basically mind or animal. It's where the word animal comes from, because an animal is the heart. The mind was thought to be the heart. And you're very passionate, you're very animated, you're talking from the heart. And to act like an animal is to act on impulse. So, but it's air, it's wind, it's breath. That's what anima means. And that is identical to Chinese qi, which we said is the same as Egyptian ka, the Egyptians having sourced their ka-ba concept from Chinese qi fo. In Western alchemy, this qi or energy is known as the Mercury. Mercury is Hermes, the messenger. He travels with great speed. He's energy. Energy is moving everywhere all the time, so they chose the word Mercury in medieval alchemy to represent this ancient concept. And you renew your qi or ka or anima with fire, fuel, food, sun, combustion. And this is Khufu, Pyramid of the Sun, being renewed as it's pointing to the Easter festival, the beginning of spring, meteorological spring. And it's the masculine principle, the man. And the spiritus is the next component of all alchemical substances. And spiritus in Latin is, of course, soul. And this is the ba. So alchemists don't know that alchemy is actually ka-ba, but it is. So the ba in Egyptian, or fo in Chinese, or soul for in the West, is the feminine principle, and this relates to the moon pyramid at Giza. So we have an alchemy going at Giza, we have a point, a pyramid-like shape. And that's really interesting. And of course the third pyramid, the corpus, the body. And you notice it's a cube, and you also notice that the Islamic cube in Mecca is called the Kaaba, so it's combining the Ka and the Ba. So that's almost like an alternate tradition of what the Kaaba is. There is some confusion in alchemy itself. For example, the sulfur is the soul, which is the ba, but salt, which is the body, is also soul. So the alchemists themselves had different traditions they had to deal with, and this has led to some confusion in their own terminology. That is the alchemy that's happening at Giza. And so at the Giza Plateau, you're combining the Ka with the Ba and the body. So we have here the Ka, the Ba, and the body, alchemy, creation. And now we're starting to see why these might have been called Joseph's granaries in the Middle Ages. These are alchemy, creating things, creating life for Egypt. And the idea that the pyramids are creating life and fertility for Egypt is actually a conventional archaeological idea, but they never really go any further into explaining how that would work, except for resurrection. They're centered around resurrection of the king. That's all they ever say, the resurrection of the king. Look, it's more complicated than that. We've showed that the king joins himself to a god in the pyramid. Anyway, so how did alchemists work? Now, I just picked this up in the kitchen just now, and I see all these alchemy terms suddenly. So Magna, the Great One. Magnesia is a place in Greece where the lodestone came from, where magnesium was found in the lodestone with the iron. Epsom is a place in England. Sulfate, we've just shown that sulfate is what the alchemists referred to as the soul component of one of the philosophical principles of all matter. And now that we know what the philosophical principles are, we can start to see how alchemy works and what the alchemists were trying to do. So let's have a read of this. So magnesia, it's a place name, it's an ancient substance, one of the main components of the philosopher's stone by repute. Now magnesium is different, but it's one of the things that was inside ancient magnesia. Isolated in 1809 by Humphrey Davy, he wanted to call it magnium due to its ancient association with lodestone, but it was called magnesium, kind of against his wishes, which confuses it, unfortunately, with alchemy, and he was aware of this. Another component of the lodestone, manganese, so they wanted to make it a similar name to show the ancient association, which is a different element. Now it's called magna as well because it's a great substance found in the philosopher's stone. Now the soul fate, or the soul, or even the fate of the soul, I guess, if that is an English word, this is one of the three ancient philosophical principles of all matter. In a way, alchemy is more advanced than chemistry and physics today. Don't believe me? Well, listen to this. As it actually recognizes the underlying intellectual principle or information code which programs every substance to keep its form. By separating out a salt or ionic compound from a substance, alchemists thought they were isolating the pure form of the computer/information code. Distillation, meanwhile, was an isolation of the Ba or Def component, the Fo, the soul, sulfur, the sulfur. That is not always the case. Burning, combusting, calcining, that's when you burn the hell out of something to turn it white or to turn it black, was to isolate the Chi or Ka in its pure form, the energy. Normally, this would make pure charcoal, but the alchemists saw this as refining a pure form of life force. So if you look up books about plant alchemy and so forth, they want you to distill these intellectual principles, these philosophical principles out of a substance, and so they'll distill the hell out of something, or to get the soul, or if they're distilling the alcohol to get the spirit. They'll burn the hell out of a substance. They'll keep burning it and burning it and burning it in order to distill the chi in its pure form. And this is how the alchemists thought. And they never questioned this. They never thought, oh, that's wrong, because this was a given. This was the ancient wisdom. This was how people thought everything was structured. So there was no getting out of this way of thinking. You could then take these purified substances and then try to combine them with philosophical principles or substances isolated from other substances to make new matter. And now we're getting into transmutation and how transmutation occurs. And whether or not they did transmutation or not is kind of still up in the air if we're dealing with the unknown cold fusion, which is also still up in the air. Did alchemists do transmutation? They certainly had a different view of it to how we see things today. But given the fact that the three philosophical principles are part of alchemy, we can clearly see that that is what they were trying to do and incorporate into the Giza Plateau, in addition to all the other things they were trying to incorporate into this masterpiece on the Giza Plateau. And none of this is my opinion. These are all everything in this video is a verifiable fact. You can do the investigation yourself. You can plug the dates into the software. They ain't going to change. Everything I've said is a fact. This is how the ancient Egyptians were thinking when they designed and built Giza. This is it. This is the one. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you.